Authenticity, I believe, should be the North Star of every neurodivergent person. Should we have to mask, camouflage, and compensate all the time? No. Do we need to modulate our behavior according to the environment? Yeah. Modulation is necessary as social beings in social environments, regardless of our neurotype. We have to read the room and assess whether it's the right time and place for certain things. Do I want to stim and fidget sometimes? Sure. Will I do it in all company? Probably not. Because in certain company, they're not going to be necessarily receptive to my explanation or to my behavior. And I'm going to feel obliged to excuse, explain, and beg for forgiveness for whatever I'm doing because it makes the other person uncomfortable, because they don't know how to read it, they don't know how to tolerate it or even accept it. And that's the unfortunate thing about living in our society, is that not everybody is always going to be warm and embracing of our differences. And for our survival and for our sanity, we're going to have to be strategic. We're going to have to choose how to manifest that authenticity. For me, in my interpersonal interactions, I'm a direct communicator. I don't do any hidden meanings. I'm not passive aggressive. I try not to be. I don't do any kind of double intention in what I'm conveying. When I'm conveying something, I will state outright. I'll be explicit with my communication about what I want, what I need, what I feel. Will I always express openly what I think about certain things? No, because it might be insensitive. It might be too blunt. It might not be received well. It might portray me as a critical, pessimistic person. It might make somebody feel bad about themselves. But for the most part, I try to be direct with my reactions and my thought process. I will try to buffer it by explaining where I'm coming from to begin with, giving them context, explaining why I'm thinking this way before I will, deliver the truth that might not land necessarily the most gentlest. But I will try my best to make sure that that delivery is gentle, that it's going to be received well according to my efforts. As best as I can, I will make sure I will say and do the things that I think are necessary to make that person more receptive and for them to be able to hear what I'm saying without taking offense or being hurt by it. Is it inevitable that our authenticity might rub people the wrong way? Sure. My authentic, direct communication, my honesty, my brevity, my directness, some people are going to just find inherently offensive or annoying or jarring because they're not used to that authenticity. They're not used to direct communication. They're used, like most of us, to navigating a society in which there's some kind of performance going on and people are indirect and use implicit communication. Is it an adjustment for them? Sure. Should they maybe learn to accept the different styles of communication? I believe so. I think we all have an obligation to understand that people operate differently, regardless of their neurotype, and to adjust within some kind of limits for that person's so-called deviation from a perceived norm or what is expected in terms of communication or behavior. I believe that most neurotypicals are capable of accommodating my differences. If I make my best effort and I adjust and I learn and I try and I communicate as most as I can, my intention, my purpose, and try to be as sensitive as possible in my delivery, that authenticity is something that they can learn to abide. It is not a burden to deal with our authenticity as neurodivergents. Some people might receive it as a burden because they don't have the capacity yet to be able to work with it. The people who do often will respond to authenticity with warmth, with surprise, but also delight, because they see that this is a refreshing approach to interpersonal interactions and communication. It doesn't mean we have to subscribe to this norm. It means, in fact, that by not choosing to do so, people might find it helpful. They might go, great, I don't have to navigate this maze of, unspoken needs or expectations. You're clear about what you think and feel. You make it clear at any point where you stand on anything. And I don't have any ambiguity. I know that I can come to you and that you can come to me and we can just talk about things and that there doesn't have to be any underlying tension. That is, like I said, very refreshing for many people. And I've had that comment offered to me by multiple folks when they, initially meet me. They're like, oh, this is surprising. This is an adjustment, but I actually think I like your style. Do I make mistakes in the process of showing up as my authentic self? Do I hurt feelings unintentionally in the course of trying to live up to that value? I do. And I have to be reflective. We all do. That's part of emotional intelligence. Being cognizant of how we're received and how we impact others, and owning that impact, not personalizing it and seeing it as a personal flaw, because we've learned to do that because of social pressure and pushback and backlash because of our differences. Not internalizing that as an indictment of our being, but going, we are all beings who are growing, we're all learning, and we're going to make mistakes. We're going to trample on people's feelings sometimes, often not intentionally, hopefully. And we can learn from that, and we can repair that rupture. It's not irreparable. We can talk through it, we can move forward, and we can grow as beings. So how do you navigate authenticity? How do you approach this with a growth mindset? And how do you find people respond to that? Have you stumbled, and have you succeeded? Have people been receptive to your authenticity as a neurodivergent person? I would love to hear from you.